I need you guys to help me get a message out to some of the other ones. Some of the other DC superheroes. Let's let Flash, Shazam, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman. Let's let them know something. Things will never be the same, because the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.
Which on our scale means it's a mediocre movie.
The movie was meh.
It was, yeah. But
Rank it 1 to 5.
I go 3 in the middle.
I'll give it a solid 3.
It's a movie where The Rock can finally stop pretending to be a lesser version of himself and instead play the role he was born for, himself.
5 out of 10.
That this film, no matter how entertaining, is deeply flawed in its writing, character development, editing, and lack of personality.
But in terms of like a movie, this is just like the most middle of the road thing I might have ever experienced.
Interesting. Why, especially when there's such a successful opening, you seem to have the appetite from your fan base for more. What's the reason or the reasons for the stopping of Black Adam?
When you think of the DC legends, you think of them. But the hierarchy of power has finally changed.
Black Adam is and has never been the most popular DC character, but of course, every character is someone's favorite character, so he deserves respect nonetheless. Most often portrayed as Shazam or Captain Marvel's antithesis, Black Adam is a dark reflection of Shazam, neither a pure villain nor hero, an anti-something. His interests are centered around protecting and ruling over his home country of Kahndaq and her people. Similar to Marvel's Doctor Doom, both have a tragic origin and now rule over their motherland with an iron fist, while also still caring deeply about their birthplace. Regardless of the similarities and the complexities of a character like Black Adam, his film adaptation presents him as, and was marketed by the star as, a Superman who kills.
Black Adam has all the powers of Superman, but Superman won't kill because he has a code of honor and a code of ethics, which we appreciate and love. But Black Adam will kill you.
The similarities between the two being they're both super strong dudes who can fly is quite extensive and easier for general audiences to digest, but is that more important than representing the character accurately and faithfully? Some might say yes. As for me, I'm all for changing aspects from the source material to better fit the film adaptation. So this video is going to go over how the Black Adam film compares to a handful of comics featuring the man, in hopes that we can see if The Rock's alleged passion project is true to the character or not. If you're watching this video right now, I'm assuming you've seen Black Adam. If not, don't worry, we'll go through the film as well in a bit, and I'll also assume you're aware of the behind the scenes drama with fellow DC franchise, Shazam. If not, let me give you a quick rundown. Remember Shazam? Remember how I stated that he is often portrayed as Black Adam's main rival? How they're opposites of the same coin? Yeah, Dwayne Johnson doesn't see it that way, going out of his way to make sure that they don't meet on screen, as he's a superstar and should be the star, not some villain of the week, despite the character being more. As this Forbes article states, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and Black Adam's poor box office performances could have been avoided, as the spectacle of seeing rivals go at each other, one with a successful first film that general audiences are familiar with, and the other being a world-famous star with box office pull. However, through the sheer ego and disregard of the material, Dwayne prompted to use the strongest weapon comic book fans have ever bore witness to: the Release the Snyder Cut fandom. No easy feat, but he did it by championing Henry Cavill's Superman, stating that this would be his grand return to the role. Clearly, this is good news. Fans love Henry Cavill's Superman, and he looks the part really well. The poor reception of his Superman from general audiences is through no fault of his own. It was the writers, and frankly Zack Snyder, who wanted to give us his take of the hero, when what we needed at the time was a base form of Superman that we could acclimate to before giving us the deconstructed version. No shade to Snyder, I love some of his movies and he makes great visuals, but I can't deny or ignore that his movies have serious flaws.
I just wasted over 4 hours of my life so you motherfuckers wouldn't have to. Rebel Moon 1 and 2. And they showed us long scenes where they had to harvest the grain. And they put those in slow motion too. Had me wonder, why the fuck am I watching this shit?
The Snyder fans had and continue to have a serious hate for any DC property not directly connected to or endorsed by Snyder. Shazam star Zachary Levi was no help as well in the situation, as during the Release the Snyder Cut movement, Zachary Levi had this to say.
So, I don't know if you know this, but do you know anything about the Snyder Cut? Well, I know what a whole bunch of people on Twitter keep crying out for, but it doesn't exist. As far as I know, it doesn't exist. I mean, of course, there's always like initial early drafts or like early cuts that they'll show studios and stuff like that, but I'm sure that's as far as that got. And then the studio, he had to leave and Joss was brought on and they did the rest of the movie and that was the cut. There is not some finished version of Justice League with all the everything that was all Zack Snyder and that I know of. You can't believe everything online. Shocker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I would encourage anyone who's still waiting for some Snyder cut to be released to focus your passion into another cut of something else because it's just not happening. Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just curious if you knew about it. And
yeah.
If
I mean, I'm still waiting for the Snyder cut to be released.
Yeah?
No, I'm kidding. It doesn't exist. Cheers.
I like your beard.
Thanks, bro. Me too.
Keep in mind, he said this before the Snyder Cut was announced. To him, it didn't exist. And to the rest of us, it shouldn't have existed either, because there was barely any precedent for the Snyder Cut happening. A fan campaign to release a cut of a film after the original flopped? Yeah. Never before. The extenuating factors of Zack Snyder's Justice League being released are never acknowledged by the fandom as well. HBO Max being new and needing content, the pandemic happening so Warner Brothers could look into their archive and see a fully filmed movie that only needed special effects. Easy choice. But back to Zachary Levi. This is all he said, which was enough for the Snyder fans to completely hate him and boycott his Shazam films going into the future. Moreover, The Rock didn't tell the Snyder fans to attack, but by bringing Henry back to gain favor, it automatically put them on his side. If not by a little, then it was by a lot. On the same note, Zachary Levi says here on this Instagram live that of course he wanted Henry's Superman in the first film, but the higher-ups said no.
He wasn't a headless Superman because we wanted him to be a headless Superman. We were thwarted. All of these hardworking people were thwarted. We were not allowed to have that happen, okay? That was not on us. That was not because we didn't want that to happen for you. Listen, guys, I am a comic nerd. I've been growing up with this stuff. I love all this stuff. I want to blow all of your minds with all the crossovers and all the goods. And trust me, it bummed me out greatly when we couldn't get Henry Cavill. I wanted him so bad in the first movie, and we couldn't get him. That was not because we didn't try. That was not because we chose not to have him there. That was not on us.
By crowning himself as the fellow common fan,
hey guys, I'm just like you,
he managed to get them on his side, either knowingly or unknowingly helping to stoke flames between the fan base, co-signing Black Adam and condemning Shazam, regardless of quality. But let's take a look at our resident DC superfan, The Rock. We need to take a look at The Rock's history at DC before Black Adam, as not many people know it's longer than you're initially led to believe. This Twitter thread puts it all together beautifully. So, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was cast in 2007 after discussing to play Shazam, but instead landing the role of Black Adam. Look at him. At this point of his career, he wasn't as famous and also had hair. Fast forward, in 2012 he confirmed in a reply to a tweet that he's playing Lobo, but hold on again, because for a couple years he had been teasing that he would play Green Lantern John Stewart, with hashtagging shit like #John Stewart can still whoop Superman's ass.
Bro, what the fuck are you talking about?
And replying to tweets saying that he could see himself in the role. As Twitter user Superman on Film states, The Rock's position at DC was an open-ended one, as since 2007 his star rose, like a lot, with films like some of the Fast and Furious entries, Pain and Gain, Rampage, and I don't know, Central Intelligence, you know what I mean. He became a household name. He had his choice at DC, since during this time, the house was burning. From BVS underperforming, to Suicide Squad being panned by critics, to peak at Justice League 2017. Of course the future films tanked harder.
Audiences were sick and tired of getting fucking burnt.
But we're following the timeline. So during this time, The Rock hit up DC and tried to overhaul the universe. Then, after all the bullshit, he tried to take over finally by finalizing on the role of Black Adam. Superman on Film says because the role of Green Lantern would be too involved with other Green Lantern projects DC had in the pipeline. So, The Rock couldn't be the main focus of the universe. And as a producer, Lobo was too far out there as a property. Black Adam could be what he needed. A Superman-like character who is darker, who could be the center of a universe, just like how Iron Man became the center of the MCU. Plus, he could label it as a passion project. Now hear me out here. Could Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson be a superfan? Possibly, but I think that's a moot point. So the real question here is, does Dwayne care about the character? To this, I think probably not. He saw an opportunity to take over DC and turn it into a springboard to star and produce films that would boost his star and print money. He saw the hunger for Henry's Superman from hardcore fans and promised them that, winning them over, while also trying to brute force his position at DC. Superman is a bigger box office draw than Shazam, period, with no intentions of allowing Black Adam to face off against his true opposition, instead opting for the bigger hero, denying access to characters from the Justice Society of America to appear in Shazam 2.
We used Jennifer and Steve in that scene, in the mid-credit scene in Shazam. But that was not the original intent. The original intent was to have Hawkman and Cyclone be there to inviting me. By the way, this is a little bit of a spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen the movie. Sorry! Whatever, it's all online anyway. So our intent, our desire, Walter Hamada, Peter Safran, David Sandberg, myself, everybody, we had a awesome scene that would have tied me in to the JSA with Hawkman and with Cyclone, and we were thwarted.
To me, these aren't the actions of a person who cares about these characters. They're the actions of a businessman who saw a window of opportunity that would benefit him and he tried to take it. By no means am I trying to demonize The Rock. Business is business. Get that motherfucking bag. I get it. But as a lifelong fan myself, I can't stand by the blatant disrespect to the characters that he's condoned. Furthermore, I can't also stand by and say that he is the sole entity that we can attribute this situation to. The old guard of DC really fucked up a lot, and it can't be unsaid that they are truly the people who should be blamed for allowing all of this to happen. The last thing I'm going to say about this before we get into the actual content they made is, The Rock seems like a nice man, I guess. I mean, as nice as a celebrity with an army of PR reps could be, who's had media training out the wazoo. By no means am I suggesting that he's a bad person. I just don't like what he did to these characters. So keep that in mind as we go through this. He's just a man trying to make big movies.
Hey everybody, Dwayne Johnson here. I am inviting you to check out the Black Adam experience on Roblox.
It's actually very fun stuff. Show the helicopters. Oh, okay, here we go. We can fly now around. This is the map basically.
Where you can test your Black Adam knowledge.
Carter Hall. Cyclone.
I'll see you on Roblox.
Anyways, now we're gonna get into the content. First comics, then we'll discuss the film itself. I want to familiarize you with Black Adam, as much as I became familiar with him during the course of creating this video. So the main idea pretty much is that he's a slave who gets the Shazam powers. You know that much already. The Rock pretty much markets that everywhere.
Yet most of us had nothing, except for the chains around our necks. I was a slave until I died.
And his background and his backstory is that he's a slave.
His backstory, he started off as a slave, his family was enslaved, his family was wiped away.
Black Adam's family was enslaved.
Originally being from Egypt, that over the years has changed to Kahndaq, which is a country that is in that general area. It's the Middle East, you know. The movie leaves out any direct mention of his wife, Isis, and his other child. The movie includes two of his family, his son, Harut, and presumably Isis, briefly, but she is not named. From what I can tell from the comics I read, his wife is super important. Now, they are notable characters in their own rights, but their main purpose is to die.
I mean, that's his kid's main purpose.
But Isis comes into play a lot more. One of the books I read was Black Adam: The Dark Age, written by Peter Tomasi and drawn by Doug Mankey.
I'm sorry if I said that name wrong.
Is solely about Black Adam globetrotting, trying to resurrect his love, Isis. Through his adventure of trying to resurrect his love, we can understand more of his character. His anti-hero, unrelenting, violent self is on full display, the same as other runs. He will slaughter through faceless soldiers and cannon fodder without a second thought, unbending to the wills of governments and organizations such as the Justice Society and Justice League to achieve his goals. I want to bring up this notable moment from the book. Adam needs to find pieces to an amulet in order to resurrect Isis. One of them happens to be in a jungle being worshipped by an indigenous tribe. They need it as a tribesman shows Black Adam that their tribe was living through a rough time, not being able to conceive new children. But through the power of the amulet, they were finally able to. Adam thinks to himself that he knows that they need it more than he does. But on this occasion, the needs of the few outweigh the needs of the many, so he steals it for himself. But on another note, from the pages of the JSA, written by Jeff Johns and drawn by Rags Morales and Don Kramer, we can see the side of Black Adam that is a protector of the people of Kahndaq. This story sees him form a team of metahumans for the select purpose of freeing the Kahndaqi people from dictatorship and ruling over them himself. We are shown the horrors of the previous regime on the Kahndaqi people. The story also sees the Justice Society attempt to stop Adam, regardless of how noble his efforts are. Throughout, we also bear witness to Nabu, one of the Lords of Order who control Dr. Fate. He says how he's disappointed in Carter Hall, Dr. Fate, as he is a part of the Justice Society who are trying to stop Adam, as his efforts to free Kahndaq are just, even though the members of the society don't see it that way. His methods are brutal, but if you look at it as an eye for an eye, or if you cross him, he will kill you. He's not only just to his own people though. If you're nice to him, he's nice to you. In the Dark Age, he breaks into a veterinarian's clinic, makes them stitch him up, and leaves. They want nothing to do with him, as he's a murderer, and eventually some hired assassins who are tracking him find the vet and his assistant. They are presumably about to torture and kill them to find out where Black Adam is, but then Adam returns and saves them before the Justice League arrive to take them into their care. As much as he's a violent anti-hero who kills, he's fair. And also now I want to mention that the flag of Kahndaq has 3 triangles, each symbolizing one member of Adam's family that he's lost. In the movie, I guess they're just triangles. I'll reserve my comments about the changes made to him until after we've gone through the film, which I think should be done now. So without further ado, let's talk about the film that's being analyzed and critiqued to death, and let's see if I can add any insight. So we're gonna go through the movie, and afterwards we'll talk more about the rock slides surrounding the movie, okay? Okay. So this part is for both the people who have seen this movie and remember it a bit, and for the people who might not have seen this movie, because frankly, it's dull. It does nothing new and is almost a complete mismatch of other superhero movie tropes. If you've seen a superhero origin movie over the past 20 years, you've seen Black Adam. The movie starts out with a giant exposition dump that tells us the history of Kahndaq, how it's older than the pyramids and their slaves looking for Eternium, this super powerful rare material only available in Kahndaq. This kid, who we're led to believe is Black Adam, then stands up to the evil king, and in turn, he is given the Shazam powers, literally spelling Shazam on the screen, which is as close as The Rock would allow the characters to cross paths. Anyways, the opening monologue says the battle between Black Adam and the evil king ended in a huge explosion. Then we cut to the present. We see Intergang is now occupying Kahndaq. Interestingly enough, Intergang is mostly an opponent of Superman in the comics, being Metropolis based, but in the comics they also cross paths with Black Adam quite a bit. Good use of a name rather than having them be just some nameless thugs. Their weaponry in the film is powered by Eternium rather than being apocalypse-based technology from the books. But back to the film, we're introduced to this cool skateboarding kid. And let me stop one more time. I want to mention that since this is the Middle East, I know the streets can't be that smooth and free of rubble and some rocks. So this kid freely skating is a bit hard to believe. But I guess Kahndaq has super smooth roads. Or his wheels are just larger than normal street wheels, but it doesn't seem like that. Small nitpick, but whatever. Anyways, we meet the movie's comedic relief character, who I enjoy. They're at an Intergang roadblock, and then Intergang knocks over the skateboard kid and he drops some comics out of his bag. He drops 4, but we can only see the covers partly. They're mostly DC Rebirth titles, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, and issue 1 of Batman Odyssey from 2010. A strange addition because it was released over a decade before this is set, so I wonder if whoever chose that issue was a fan. And there's an issue of Flash as well, but I couldn't make out what it was from. So past the roadblock, we see the comedic relief character is smuggling a wanted woman who is driving the plot, and she's also the mom of the rad skateboarding kid.
What's her name?
It's Adriana Tomez. Remember when I said the movie leaves out any direct mention of his wife, Isis? Well, it does, because this lady is not a love interest or his wife.
Just to be clear, in the books, Adriana Tomez with the powers of Isis is Black Adam's wife.
In this movie, however, she's just a freedom fighter for Kahndaq, who also plays Isis in flashbacks. Unnamed still, of course. Maybe she's a reincarnation of his wife that looks exactly the same. I think it's a missed opportunity not to mention it at all, or it might have come around if there would have been a sequel. But back to the film. The characters then go into this tomb, and the comedic relief character sings Baby Come Back while he waits in the car.
I actually enjoyed this a lot.
And then Intergang shows up. One of the members of Adriana's freedom adventurers then has this low-key jump scare, and he looks unhinged. If you're not brain dead, you can tell he's the bad guy. His name is Ishmael. Whether it be a reference to the Bible or DC Comics, you be the judge. I think it's neither, as the character is more a League of Assassins character in the books, and in the Bible, he's just one of Abraham's sons, whose descendants are believed to have formed the Arab people.
Sorry if that's wrong, I'm not reading the whole fucking Bible.
Adriana grabs the crown, and then the thugs come in, and to escape, Adriana says the magic word and awakens Black Adam. Immediately, the film pushes its PG-13 rating to its limits by melting a nameless homeless guy. I can't lie, this sequence almost tricked me into believing this movie was gonna be good when I saw it in the theater. He catches a bullet and mumbles in an ancient language, "Your magic is weak," then proceeds to cover up and destroy the thugs. The look of Black Adam in a hood with a cape is fucking cool, I can't lie, but the movie abandons it so fast. So The Rock is killing his critics here and spares Adriana, then floats off into this slow motion sequence that I found derivative of the X-Men Quicksilver scenes. Now I know that may be unfair to say because every slow motion scene is compared to X-Men, and I think it's not only because they did it first, but they did it the best so far. If you can't do it better, try something different. In this case, they did not do it better or different. My only thought as to why they thought this was so impressive is because he's killing people. So once that's done, there's this weird moment he mean mugs Adriana and Funny Man. This is only to introduce a weakness to him that doesn't make a return later. An Eternium rocket is fired at him. He turns the sender to dust, then it blows and leaves him with a tiny nick. He flies up and away only to fall directly down in front of the van. The Rock lays there in a handsome way that shows that he's not conscious. Have you ever seen anybody get knocked out? They don't lay there like they're getting their full 8 hours. Typically their eyes are a little bit open and their mouth is definitely not closed like this. It's a movie. Let's move on. We then get introduced to the Justice Society of America. Hawkman is ordered by Amanda Waller to go get Black Adam, so he assembles the team. First we meet Cyclone. We see when she's scanned in that she's also known as Red Tornado.
Not the one you may be thinking of,
but the original. Later in the film, she does mention how she got her powers through some nanobots having been injected into her body, so it might connect her to the Red Tornado that you do know.
And the nanobots were injected into my bloodstream by this really messed up scientist who kidnapped me when I was 15.
All right.
Also, her favorite author is L. Frank Baum, the guy who wrote the Oz books. Hawkman also states how she's smart as hell, and I wish we had more heroes who were dumb as shit. Luckily for me, the movie gives us Atom Smasher, who is kinda dumb. We get a cameo from actor Henry Winkler, Atom Smasher's uncle, who has the same powers apparently. Atom Smasher is my favorite character in the film, next to Dr. Fate. Regardless of how you feel about the character, I think it needs to be stated that his design looks absolutely incredible here, and the casting is fantastic. Pierce Brosnan does not give a fuck about comic books, but damn does he sell his performance.
So here's my theory. There's an A plot and a B plot. A plot is the black linchpin between them.
Ooh, yeah. What is that? A plot and a B plot.
Why everybody want the JSA to die? What did we do?
The violence.
We just got here.
Yeah, really.
The helmet took some getting used to for me, as it's a departure from his comic counterpart, and the asymmetrical design doesn't really fit it for me since it's the Lords of Order, not chaos. And something asymmetrical doesn't immediately scream order to me, but it's fine. He looks sick. So this is our team: Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Cyclone, and Atom Smasher. Classic members, despite in the film having 2 of them being new. It's a small roster, but this film is about Black Adam, not the JSA. But could you imagine a full-blown JSA film with a larger roster that's centered around stopping Black Adam intervening in the Middle East? That would be a completely different film. Would it be better?
I don't know.
The film then rips off the X-Men jet under the mansion bit.
It's entirely made out of bent metal?
Everything down to the screws. Completely indestructible.
Please keep that in mind. Cut to Black Adam awakening in the skateboard kid's bedroom. He lightning Superman's face on the wall because foreshadowing, and we can see the kid is a superhero superfan. So that means he's one of those characters who asks a lot of nerdy questions to the hero.
Do we have a soups guy? Flight or invisibility? How do I know you're not a supervillain using telepathic abilities to make me believe that you're Billy? Huh?
He also tells The Rock that he's a superhero.
I'm no hero.
They have a conversation that is full of zingers and setups to make The Rock look like a badass. Thank God he's slowly hovering enough for the kid to follow, but we cut to the JSA and see Hawkman and Fate talking like old friends, and Cyclone and Atom Smasher becoming closer. Black Adam then does some brooding in front of a Black Adam statue, then the kid does some crazy rad skateboarding away from Intergang, trying to get Black Adam's attention. This motherfucker has a death wish because he pissed off the guards, then screams for help from Black Adam. He then comes down and we get this gag where a guy hits him and it does nothing. So he flings him to his death. Now I wanted to wait until this moment because I believe this is a perfect visualization of The Rock's contract from the Fast and Furious films that I believe he's kind of brought over. If you didn't know by now, Vin Diesel, Jason Statham, and our main man Dwayne have clauses in their contracts of Fast and Furious films that state that they cannot outright lose a fight. And each kick, punch, and hit in fight scenes has a numerical value that always equals out in the end, so no one is a pussy loser pansy or whatever. Protection of each star's ego in an ensemble film sounds horrible, but in regards to Black Adam, I believe The Rock brought over this mentality. He can't outright lose. Same as when that soldier shot him with that rocket earlier. He caught it, which then exploded and knocked him out a little bit later, but in turn, he obliterated that soldier to nothing. So it's even. He can be a bullet sponge and never technically get hurt, which is ideal for The Rock, making him seem like a super person. But that's just a theory of mine. We then get an homage to the good, the bad, and the ugly, same as the comedic relief was watching earlier on TV before Black Adam destroyed it. However, this time it has no stakes. All the goons have normal guns, so it's just Rock shooting goons with lightning, while their bullets could do absolutely nothing to him. Eventually, the JSA show up for good and save some henchmen The Rock drops over the city. The citizens boo him, so The Rock kills them and they cheer. Hawkman then gives what's practically an invader speech, and it's just so jarring. Like, they know Black Adam was a slave, and they just rock up and say they're gonna restore peace with force if necessary. Then Dr. Fate tells him to kneel or die.
Is everyone a fucking idiot?
Like, the writers purposely set up the good guys to talk threateningly, almost like villains, so Black Adam isn't a complete bad guy when he starts to fight them. Quick note, I want to shout out KFC, Kondaki Fried Chicken. The set design people really hit a home run with this one. Back to it. Black Adam and Hawkman are fighting, and I want to nitpick this one shot because I see people on Twitter always shitting on this one shot from Spider-Man No Way Home, to which I think is unfair. So let me show you this shot of The Rock, looking like he's using an Instagram filter. Little moment, no big deal. So Atom Smasher and Cyclone then join the fight, and I gotta say, it's cool to see a newish superpower on screen that we don't see much of anymore. Dr. Fate steps up soon after and does the Doctor Strange clone thing, which is pretty cool, but same as with the opening slow-mo scene, it feels like cherry picking good stuff from other films and putting it in yours because you think people will love it. And also, Atom Smasher finally shows up, and I don't even want to mention it, but yeah, I will. His mask kind of looks like Deadpool. Nothing to say about it, but yeah, it kind of does. Whatever. The citizens of Kahndaq then come and cheer Black Adam on, and he leaves, so the JSA regroup. Dr. Fate then says that they need to take the evil MacGuffin from Adriana that she got back in the cave at the beginning, and she gives the whole "we've been under military occupation and y'all motherfuckers didn't come but came for the Rock? Yeah, you can fuck off" speech. Hawkman steps up and says Black Adam's not a hero again, and Adriana's like, "Oh, okay," then takes them to go see him. Stop me if you heard this before. He says he's not a hero.
I never said I was a hero.
Cut to the kid bringing the evil MacGuffin crown home, and he can't take a fucking hint from the comedic guy, so the bad guy learns that the kid has the evil MacGuffin device that he needs. The bad guy shoots the funny man, and he runs after the kid. The JSA and Black Adam then have a conversation that is just cool guy one-liners back to back until they learn of the kid and go to save him. You know, not like a hero would do. He catches the kid from falling to his death, then immediately leaves him so he can get kidnapped by the bad guy, like a hero would do. A chase scene ensues, and Hawkman shows up and says to stop killing people. At the same time, they drop Atom Smasher in there, and like, he's a clumsy idiot. You expect him not to accidentally crush innocent civilians? At least Black Adam is purposely killing people. Dr. Fate and Comedy Man have a funny interaction, and we get the shot of the film, the image that launched 1,000 memes. The chase ends in what looks to me like China. It's so confusing because China's too far away. So where the fuck are they? It doesn't matter. The kid isn't there. Dr. Fate then sets up The Rock for a slam dunk joke.
Bring me the prisoner. I'll break his mind. You killed him, didn't you?
He didn't make it.
Black Adam and the JSA then interrogate some thugs to find the kid, and he does his signature move of flying real high and dropping them. This pisses off Hawkman so much that he says that
heroes don't kill people.
In this world, that's an absurd idea because they literally do. The person who has action figures and merchandise in children's bedrooms is also branding people, so this idea of heroes don't kill people is so off the fucking wall and a sharp right turn. It's laughable.
like this! Please! You killed innocent people! You asked to see for mercy.
Anyways, they find the crown because it's made of eternium and the rock hits it and it glows. They try to decipher the code on it and Atom Smasher has a great insight.
What if it means like, life is short? You gotta hold on to what you love.
So now Black Adam is working with the JSA, just like sometimes in the books. It's a great fit, almost like a Superman archetype on a team of do-gooders. Makes for good drama. Too bad it's less than 2% of this film. Also, Hawkman and Fate have another conversation, and despite this being their first film, I like their dynamic. Dr. Fate has been getting visions where he sees Hawkman's death, but he won't say for sure. When I saw this scene in the cinema, my buddy leaned over and mumbled the exact same thing I was thinking.
Fuck, this movie's bad.
No, I'm just kidding. He actually said,
this Dr. Fate guy's gonna die.
Because it's pretty obvious. Someone's gonna die, and I'm willing to bet it's the nearly 70-year-old guy playing Dr. Fate. He was never gonna be in this franchise for the long haul. I guarantee it. So the team then devises a plan, but then The Rock sneaks off and we get a musical drop of Power by Kanye West. Terrible timing, I thought when I first saw this, because he was going through that weird phase at the time. And on top of that, it cuts out 2 lines, which annoyed the fuck out of me. Like, it's fine for films to use edited versions of songs, but this one was really annoying to me specifically. Most likely because it's such a well-known song, so the lyrics are well-known and catchy. It barely lasts a minute, however, and we get to a standoff next. The crown for the kid. Black Adam supports the woman who wants to give the crown for her kid, and I guess it's because he likes the kid, kind of, so he's okay with it happening, despite knowing that it will not be good for the rest of Kahndaq. Again, from the comics, sometimes he does this. The needs of the few outweigh the needs of the many, since he isn't the ruler yet and doesn't seem to give a shit about anybody or anything, and is kind of attached to this mom and kid. So the bad guy Ishmael then reveals he's the ancestor of the evil king Black Adam killed before. This pisses Adam off so much that he does a big boom and nearly kills everyone. Nearly, because it does kill all the goons and the evil guy, but none of the good people. It does hurt the kid though. Black Adam, feeling ashamed for hurting the kid, zooms off and Hawkman follows. He's sad and tells Hawkman his real origin story. The original champion of Kahndaq was not The Rock. It was his son. So the king sent some men to kill his family, and to save his dad, he gives him the power of Shazam, immediately regretting it because he is then shot by an arrow. This makes The Rock think the powers aren't a gift, they're a curse. I don't understand his thought process of this, however. And why not quickly do the Shazam power swap again? He wasn't shot in the head, but he died instantly. Also, I'm not a big Shazam fan, but why can't he split the powers? Is it because there's no staff? If so, then okay. You can't both be Black Adam, but then at least make him Black Adam again to save him, no? Okay.
Kahndaq needed a hero. Instead, it got me.
Oh, brother, this guy fucking stinks. Black Adam then depower buffs himself and surrenders. They take him to this black site, and here we meet Jennifer Harcourt. Love seeing her, but this feels so weird, and like she's not the same character from Peacemaker. And if we're following the DCEU timeline, she should still be on Waller's shit list. None of this lines up, and it's unfair that the actress and James Gunn got shit on just for her appearing in this. It's actually insane. So we also see a bunch of prisoners in the jail, which could be interesting in the future. Well, in another future, because let's be real, we're never visiting this place again. Anyways, the bad guy died on purpose by The Rock so he could go to hell and become the champion of demons or devils that haven't been mentioned explicitly before. He comes back as this weird looking BDSM demon, which is pretty accurate but boring as hell because he's had no development in the film, and the first thing he does is destroy Hawkman's jet.
Completely indestructible. Completely indestructible. Completely indestructible.
So Hawkman's either an idiot or a liar, and I know it's probably to show how strong Sabak, the BDSM demon, is, but frankly, it's laughable. The JSA start fighting Sabak, and I had the thought of, why isn't Superman here? It's a common question in superhero cinematic universes, but particularly in this one. We've seen this Superman fly to other countries to help with disasters, but I can't really hold it against this film that he's not here because it's not his film. Dr. Fate then does a noble sacrifice and does the many copies of himself spell again, immediately into the Iron Man helmet POV, leading into his Injustice 2 winning animation to free Black Adam.
Say the line, Bart!
this?
Whoa, look, he did the thing!
Dr. Fate says Black Adam has the power to either be the destroyer of this world or its savior, to which I think is also fucking hilarious. It sounds like he's being prompted up to be the main center point of the DC universe. Fate also says sometimes the world doesn't need a white knight. It needs something darker, which feels like the 100th time the film is telling you what to think. He's a dark guy. He's not a white knight. Anyways, Dr. Fate cops it for what seems to be no reason and dies. This whole noble sacrifice thing is stupid because it seems like Sabak isn't the all-powerful enemy everyone is saying he is, which is fine because at least this isn't the only unnecessary noble sacrifice in the DCEU. Funny Man shows up and the citizens start fighting off the zombies from hell that are coming. What a huge fucking threat, huh? So big that some fat guy can dance and kill one with a single hit. Wow. The kid is the one to rally the people to fight, and it still bothers me how he delivers this line. It's not yelling, it's just a little over his indoor voice.
This is our chance. With these hands, we build Konda, and with these hands, we will set it free.
Man, I'm gonna break my monitor, I swear!
Can we get some emotion in this? I know we're not really outside, and he doesn't need to be loud for everyone on the soundstage to hear him, but could we get another fucking take, please? Sabak doesn't like it either, so he drops a huge statue onto the kid, but Black Adam arrives to grab it, and he's in his new suit.
Cool.
His suit when he was awoken was way cooler in my opinion. He has a moment with Atom Smasher, which left me a bit upset that it's one of only 2 real moments between the two in the film. I'll explain later, but back to it.
The wizard's powers were wasted on you. You are not a hero.
This guy gets it. Hawkman is also able to do the Dr. Fate copy spell by holding onto the helmet, which makes no sense. Why is he able to do that? Nabu doesn't speak to him, but this is just a small nitpick. But it kind of brings the question of how Dr. Fate's powers work. The bad guy is finally defeated by Black Adam ripping him in 2. No extra magic or anything. There's no reason why the JSA couldn't do this. Hawkman can kill, but this version seems to be against violence, I guess. So it's just contrived. They needed Black Adam back because the writer said so. No other reason. So now that the big bad is dead, we get another, he's dark, so he's better than a hero like you.
Kind of justice you dish out can darken your soul.
It's his darkness that lets him do what heroes like you cannot.
And the JSA leave. But before, we get one more moment between Black Adam and Atom Smasher. I mentioned earlier that these moments had a little weight with me, because in the comics, they have a bigger relationship. One where Atom Smasher looks up to Black Adam, despite him being a teammate. Take this moment in Black Rain. Black Adam has left the JSA and Atom Smasher followed him. Their goal is to liberate Kahndaq. Smasher is against killing, but then Black Adam shows him the atrocities the current regime is doing to the population, including children. This prompts Atom Smasher to murder the man responsible. Their relationship is more complex and compelling in the books, but to be fair, in this film, this is their initial meeting. I sincerely think this being an origin story really holds back a lot of good storytelling that could have been done if we were introduced to the fully fledged JSA with off-screen history. But their decision was to do an origin tale, and if this was to continue, it could be interesting to see where they go, but I don't see The Rock wanting to be part of a team when he could be the center point of a universe that could destroy a whole team.
And there's no way this is getting a fucking sequel.
But yeah, let's finish off the film and move on. Black Adam does the iconic pose on the throne, then smashes it a few feet away from the people, which seems dangerous, and he does the Fan 4-stick cutaway gag.
So what should we call you?
The name Black Adam never being muttered once in this whole film.
Okay, Black Adam.
Never mind, the post-credits scene says it. Then we get the Superman appearance, and I love this because it's just him standing there, but his demeanor is so off from what we've seen before, not being in line with the downer Superman of the DCEU. But the pure fucking charisma and sauce leaking from Henry Cavill is insane. He is the Superman we deserved, but not the one we got. So that was all, but before I talk about comics and missed opportunities with the film, let's talk about the box office. This movie didn't really resonate with audiences and pull in the amount of money the studio was hoping for. Black Adam got $393.5 million at the box office. On a production budget of between $190 to $260 million, closer to $260 million due to reshoots and, well, This is not good. Studios are not completely open about the cost of making their movies, especially if they're flops, because frankly, it's embarrassing. The general rule is that you should double the amount of the production budget to get a good idea on how much they spent on marketing. Now obviously this isn't 100% factual, but it's a good window. Some films get more and some films get less for marketing. With Black Adam respectively, I believe it got a lot more. Warner Brothers were banking hard on Black Adam being a box office smash and kicking off a whole franchise. You can tell us by how many real life ads you saw, and even online, you can see how many sneak peeks and trailers the movie got. Comparing the difference between Black Adam and Blue Beetle's marketing, Black Adam got a huge teaser with animation and The Rock speaking about the movie at DC Fandom in 2021. He also got another teaser where he introduces the JSA. On top of that, 2 official trailers, which seems to be the norm, and a Comic-Con sneak peek. These are the trailers alongside The Rock going on Jimmy Fallon and getting the cast on Vanity Fair, BuzzFeed, and a bunch of other websites and news outlets to talk about whatever to promote the film. Now, Blue Beetle, another DC film, got an official trailer and a final trailer. Now this is a bit of an unfair comparison because Blue Beetle was affected by the strikes. However, due to Black Adam being a project about The Rock, it was destined to make more money. The amount being more than Blue Beetle doesn't mean it was less than everyone thought it would be. Dwayne wasn't quiet about it too. He tweeted to say that the movie is profitable and compares the box office to the first Captain America film that came out in 2011. Let me take a moment to explain why these two films aren't comparable, as some defenders of Black Adam may be out there. Captain America: The First Avenger, making $370 million off of its $140 million budget, was in 2011, during the rise of superhero films, starring Chris Evans, who at the time wasn't the household name we know him as today. Captain America was around a B-list hero at best, who was just seen as American propaganda until the Avengers film hit cinemas. Superhero movies weren't a cultural force at that time yet. Yes, The Dark Knight and Iron Man came out 3 years prior and rocked the ship, but we weren't full MCU chokehold yet. Captain America was the debut of an unpopular hero with no star power and a superhero movie coming off of the shitty 90s to 2000s superhero films. Audiences aren't so gullible. Now on the same note, Black Adam is similar to Captain America, a B-list character at best, but The Rock is a box office draw, one of the few true movie stars left, and the year being 2022. That's 11 years of films in between Captain America and Black Adam. Audiences had grown accustomed to superhero films, seen the highs and the lows, but with the amount of fucking marketing put into it, the budget being over $100 million more than Captain America, with audiences hungry for new superhero media that is different, Black Adam failed to draw people in, period. And before we go on, I'd like to mention one last thing. Black Adam is supposedly The Rock's 15-year passion project. However, he still took his reported $22.5 million salary. Of course, business is business, and you need to make money, and nobody should ever work for free. However, if passion is your drive, then perhaps he should have taken a note out of fellow DC creative Zack Snyder's book, who he has so much respect for. After the campaign and years of harassing executives, Zack Snyder was able to finish his version of Justice League for free. Are these two instances comparable? Well, when you make around $20 million for each film and you're in 2 to 3 films per year, I think you can take a pay cut of some amount to complete your passion project. One interesting aspect of comic book media is the cycle it produces. Comics inspire film and TV, which then gain popularity, and in turn, it inspires the comics. A prime example being Blade. In the comics, he was this British guy who wore green and then he looked like a human Ghost Rider. After the movie, in the comics, he was bitten by Morbius. Yes, that Morbius. And he became the Daywalker, more so resembling his movie counterpart, getting heightened powers instead of just being immune to vampire bites as before. I mean, look at the guy. What does this have to do with Black Adam? Well, before the movie coming out, of course executives were thinking the movie was going to be a smash hit that changes the world, embraced by audiences and critics alike, and obviously makes a shit ton of money. Well, what if viewers, after being reborn again in the theater, go home and want more Black Adam? They can consume some of the books that inspired the groundbreaking film. So while they marketed the film, they published 2 comics I'd like to draw attention to that really show brand synergy at its finest. The first being Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, the next Crisis event from DC Comics, as they're prone to do. How does Black Adam tie in? Well, in Dark Crisis, the Justice League are dead, and Black Adam is the sole survivor. He's part of the League, but everyone outside of the core League members think he's a prick. It's a multiverse-ending threat, of course, but throughout the 7 issues, Black Adam is campaigning to be the leader of the League while the others are dead, telling main character Nightwing and the rest of the young heroes left that they're too soft. In the end, surprise, the League isn't dead, and in the moment before defeat, Black Adam returns and gives every single good guy the powers of Black Adam.
Something that he didn't do in the film when his son was shot and killed. But hey, I guess he didn't know how to use the power.
The story overall is pretty alright. I wouldn't consider it important reading, but it's nice to see the young heroes take the center stage. John Kent's Superman traveling the world trying to recruit new members for the League, and in the end having a touching moment fighting alongside his dad against Doomsday. Also, I don't know who needs to hear this, but Deathstroke is a Teen Titans villain first, not Batman. I'm mentioning this because Slade is leading the dark forces, and in the end it comes down to Nightwing and Slade in a way.
He's not a fucking Batman baddie.
And I also need to include this moment that made me laugh.
Reverse darkness. Earth's returning too much.
Stop eating with your mouth full, terrific, and spit it out!
What is going on?
He's not.
Army
It's the signal guy. Guy Gardner's a fucking moron. I can't wait to see him in Superman Legacy. The 12-issue run from 2022 shows a different side to Black Adam than previously shown. Viewers might recognize him from the movie Well, as he's just a dick who can't take no for an answer. In this story, he has this weird disease and ends up finding a successor, White Adam. That's not a joke as well. It's a pretty good run that deserves a read, honestly, in my opinion. Now, Black Adam in these books doesn't have his signature look from the movie, instead opting for his comic appearance with hair. They do slick that motherfucker down a lot, so you see his head shape, so I guess he could count as bald if he was a silhouette, and he does the signature rock look. Regarding comics, they didn't only align the release of comics of the same property, they also made comics for the movie. Black Adam, The Justice Society Files, a 4-issue miniseries with each issue following a member of the JSA from the film. The naming system is kinda insane too. Black Adam, The Justice Society Files, character name, Number 1. Superhero movie tie-in comics are always great because they almost always add little to no useful information that enhances the viewer's enjoyment of the film. The DCEU are pros because there have been several tie-in comics to the film, starting all the way back with Man of Steel. Batman v Superman got several titles, Suicide Squad got one, Shazam got one, Wonder Woman 1984 got one,
but not the first for some odd reason.
Black Adam got one, and past it, The Flash and Shazam Fury of the Gods got one each, and Hawkman and the Lost Kingdom got 2. So until the very end, they were really trying to milk this thing for whatever it was worth. The most notable addition from the tie-in comics from memory is that Bruce Wayne gifted the Flash with his new suit before the movie. I guess that's interesting, but a lesson you can learn from the Star Wars franchise is that the comics are canon until someone wants to make a movie. Then fuck the expanded material because it comes second. How dare you try to make content for the same company I make content for and expect me to follow it?
I'm a creative, goddammit.
But anyways, Black Adam, The Justice Society subtitle is a prequel series, so let's go through each issue and find out if it fleshes out the characters from the film well enough that it makes the film more enjoyable or more interesting. First off, written by Cavan Scott with art by Scott Eaton, this is Black Adam, The Justice Society Files, Hawkman, Number 1, Ghosts of the Past.
What a fucking title.
So the story opens up with Hawkman meeting an associate at this exhibition of exotic metals. They got kryptonite, nth metal, and
what?
Eternium? It's the Shazam symbol, and it's named the Champion, so Black Adam is somewhat mentioned.
Connections, wow.
Hawkman's associate says they could use Eternium to make the destructible Hawkjet faster. Anyways, this crook steals it and takes off. His name is James Craddock, and his codename is The Gent. If you don't know what that means, then let me reveal his more known name. Gentleman Ghost, motherfucker!
We are so back!
It's awesome to get a weird character like him, despite only being in a comic. He's working for Intergang apparently. If his tech is anything to go by, he hops on one of those hover bikes and Hawkman chases him. Eventually he crashes into a building and dies. Hawkman doesn't take it well, and Gentleman Ghost is just there as a ghost. They go back inside to investigate more, but then everything freezes and Hawkman's alone. He asks, "Who's there?" "It's me, the guy you killed." "I haven't killed anyone." This pisses off Gentleman Ghost enough that he takes on his full look for a single panel and then traps Hawkman in a mirror. But don't fret, because Dr. Fate is here too, but not really, because it's just an illusion.
Ghost is just fucking with them.
After some more games, Hawkman takes a piece of the shattered Eternium and stabs the Ghost to death, but it doesn't count as a murder because heroes don't kill Hawkman, but Ghost is already dead, so it doesn't count, I guess. Hawkman is back, everyone's alive, and he says he needs to prepare because a big threat is coming. He needs Dr. Fate. This directly leads into a flashback of Kahndaq. Then, what the hell does that mean? Stayed a year ago, or say a long time ago? Anyways, we see skinny Teth Adam and his son as slaves. He asks the food stall vendor for another apple and the guy says no, so The Rock does his. They then get into an altercation with some guards, and The Rock says to his son to know his place and keep his head down and they'll be alright. Cut to the present, where we can see the characters from the movie. Adriana, Son, and Funny Man. So weird because they don't look much like their film counterparts at all. Anyways, Adriana runs off because she gets a tip and she goes to the shipyard. She sneaks around and fights off several guards. This is not the same character. She snags an artifact and escapes by diving into the water and swimming away. Later we see the artifact and it's glowing and gold. This is the end of issue 1, so let's take a peek at issue 2. I mean issue 1 because they are all fucking issue 1 since they're titled after different heroes. So annoying. So here, Black Adam, the Justice Society Files, Cyclone, Freaks and Heroes. The story opens up with young Maxine, and I'm just gonna call her Cyclone actually, drawing the Justice Society. Consisting of Hawkman and Dr. Fate, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and guess they didn't allow the writer or artist to include other Justice Society members, because what if they want to use them in films later? This could fuck with the canon that they don't care about.
Shut up, bitch!
So the Justice Society is a duo, not much of a society at all. Cyclone says she wants to be a part of the JSA and fly beside them. Cut to the future, and she's a grown adult. She's walking down the street, and then this huge Hulk guy starts rampaging. Someone says his name is Elijah. Is that anybody? Let me know in the comments if you know. I can only find this guy in the wiki, but not certain. Anyways, cops show up and arrest the Hulk. Then they give Cyclone shit for using powers and getting involved. All the townspeople treat her like shit too. So she runs away and is then greeted by Hawkman. He asks her for information about the Hulk kid. He says he was on Tar, and not the black tar you're thinking of. It gives you powers for a short time, and he asks Cyclone to join the JSA, and she freaks out and says no, then runs away. Luckily for her, she runs into the drug dealer who's selling tar, and he's being beaten up by the detective from earlier who gave Cyclone shit after stopping the Hulk rampaging kid. And even luckier for her now, the dealer spills the whole can of beans when he says out loud how the detective stole the drugs from the police lockup and is forcing the kid to sell the stuff. Cyclone then blasts them with her powers and he takes some tar. It's white too, I should mention, not so tar-like. Anyways, they tussle a bit and she wins, but who's gonna believe her story? The bad guy's a cop and she's just some girl, some freak. Hawkman then shows up again and says that he will believe her story, so it's a happy ending. Cut to Kahndaq. Then, again, what's Skinny Rock up to? No idea, because we're looking at Harut. We see him sneak into the slaver's tent at night. He takes his knife and cuts all the whips. Wow, what a hero. But cut to Kahndaq now. We see Adriana teaching her class because she's a university professor. Do you remember that from the movie? And then Intergang busts in. They found her, so she runs away. End of issue 1. Again. Now moving on to Black Adam, the Justice Society Files, Atom Smasher, #1, first mission, first issue, first whatever. The story opens up with a naked Atom Smasher, huge. Then we cut to the day before. He's on the phone with his uncle, and before we move on, I need to say how he looks nothing like his live action version. Not even close. He's a cute twink in here when he's kinda butch cute in the movie. Insane. So he suits up and goes to a gun drop or something. Criminals are present and he gets in over his head because they start shooting at him. He grows big and his clothes rip, so he's naked. He does fight them off and takes them all down in the end. The next day he gets a package with an invite to the JSA and his uncle's suit. From this look, I don't know. He doesn't seem like the same one from the film. But cut to Kahndaq now. Adriana is still running and she manages to send off the artifact to the comedic relief character before she gets caught by Intergang. Boom! Cut to Kahndaq. Then, The Rock tells his son good job for his justice, but they aren't getting food because of his active resistance by cutting those whips. Cut to Kahndaq again now, in the same issue. Funny Man and Kid go to look for the artifact and Intergang show up. My dudes, can I interest you in swag? I'm sorry, this is funny. The kid does find the artifact, but that's the end of the issue. Now, on to the final one. Black Adam, the Justice Society Files, Dr. Fate #1.
This one doesn't have another subtitle.
We open up on the Tower of Fate that we don't see in the film, sadly. He's reminiscing on his story with the Justice Society, again only shown to be Hawkman and him, and the art captures his look well. He really looks like Pierce Brosnan here. He gets a vision of a demon which freaks him out, so he puts on the trash bin and we cut to some kids in a dirty swamp, because kids love swamps. They're doing a Stand By Me impression because the group of kids are going to see a corpse. Just like the Ninja Turtles, this group of teens has a girl member, and she pulls out her phone to look up a spell and read it. What a fucking moron, because it works and they summon a demon. Luckily for them, Dr. Dr. Fate arrives as the kids try to run. He says they aren't going anywhere, just like the worst parent you've ever seen. Dr. Fate says they did this to themselves, so they need to stay and deal with it. After that, the girls seem to be possessed by the demon and starts calling out Dr. Fate's Lord of Order, Nabu, by name. Eventually, Fate realizes he can break the corpse to stop the demon, but it screams at him, knocking his helmet off. The demon then tongues his body and makes him see the future, with Black Adam on the throne, with the 4 members of the Justice Society dead on the ground. We can even see Sabak in the back just chilling. Dr. Fate is rescued by one of the kids who didn't run. He tosses Kent his helmet, and then he powers up again and beats the demon by shooting him with lightning somehow. The kid girl then falls down to the ground, and the boy rushes to her. She's dying. So Dr. Fate is like leaving. He's halfway out the door when the kid asks for help, and Fate is like,
"She summoned the demon, bro. She deserves this."
but the boy is like, "Come on, man, please." And Fate is like, "Yeah, okay." He teleports back to the tower, calls up Hawkman to join the JSA again, and ends on a splash page that says it will be continued in Black Adam in theaters October 21st. I don't think Hawkman would be particularly happy, knowing that Dr. Fate nearly left a kid to die. But we're not done yet, cause let's see what's up in Kahndaq back then, one last time. We see Harut giving out bread to other poor people, and The Rock and his wife proudly watching. She looks nothing like in the film. And also, these comics do a poor job at highlighting how he's supposed to be skinny and starving. Like, The Rock just kind of looks a little ripped here. Toned demon. Cut to Kahndaq now! Adriana escapes Intergang by freeing herself from being tied to a chair and takes out a huge thug on her own. She's John Daki Wick. She meets up with her kid and brother, and she uses her necklace from the movie on the artifact from earlier, and it gives her the location of the crown, which is what leads directly into the start of Black Adam. It all comes together, full circle. And that's the end of the comic tie-ins. What do you think? I think they were fucking hilarious, because the main Kahndaqi characters were not even close to their film counterparts outside of the comedic man. Everyone else was fine though. How does this affect the movie? Well, we know that before the events of the film, Hawkman had run-ins with an artifact that was linked to Black Adam. Dr. Fate had a vision of the JSA's death, not the same as in the film. And how the woman found out where Black Adam's tomb was. Real meddling information that isn't important at all in the end. Incredible. These comic tie-ins never fail to disappoint people who don't give a fuck, because they don't give a fuck. Now that all the media around Black Adam has been digested by you in some sort, we need to talk about the missed opportunities. The land of Kahndaq serves as a perfect stand-in for real-world geopolitical dynamics of foreign invaders, oppression, and rebellion. External powers stripping their lands of any precious materials as the locals can't do anything to stop them due to their technological superiority. This is where the champion comes in. Black Adam is the Kahndaqi Superman in stories of children praying for war to end. A superpowered being who can stand up to those who push nothing but their own greed upon Kahndaq. The film does hold this standpoint, however, it isn't willing to go deeper into it, just surface level preaching from the Adriana character towards the Justice Society. When she asks why the JSA is only becoming involved in the affairs of Kahndaq upon Black Adam's arrival, and not during the militaristic occupation from decades prior. Despite the standpoint being interesting, the actual conversation in the film is halted as swiftly as it begins, with Hawkman exclaiming that Black Adam is dangerous and the issue is never brought up again past. Kahndaq needs someone and now has someone to protect her borders. The rug pull is deafening. Another aspect I noticed in the Justice Society books with Black Adam is that when Kahndaq is brought up, or when Black Adam is taking back his country in Black Rain, the Justice Society actually dedicates whole pages to the society sitting down and discussing whether it's morally right to interfere. They're practically a governmental body. All this nuance and source of interesting storytelling is lost, however, when the film decided to just turn the Justice Society into a team of mercenaries tasked with capturing Teth Adam. The film had the opportunity to tell a focused narrative on a topic that holds true to our contemporary world. Should foreign nations get involved in a war they have no stakes in, when other factors are at play? And do they even have the right? On another note, the decision to make the film an origin story is a sour one in my opinion. Easier for audiences to digest immediately, but the safer option in my opinion. I believe that if a Black Adam / Justice Society film was made, that the center stage could still be given to Adam, but having him as a member of the team who leaves to liberate his country is more impactful, since he would have pre-existing relationships with members. Think of it somewhat as being on the same note as Civil War. Brothers and former teammates fighting against each other. The best example I have is the relationship of Atom Smasher and Adam from the books. Atom Smasher follows Adam, leaving the society as he believes they're doing the right thing, standing up for the people of Kahndaq who have been pushed into the dirt, used, abused, and seeking a savior. This makes it so when they finally do cross paths and battle, it's more impactful. When Atom Smasher and the society did cross paths again, the fight was more painful. He's following what he thinks is right, and they're following what they think is right. Not fighting someone you hardly know because they think that you're just some ruthless killer, but someone you used to stand by. Furthermore, the ignorance of Black Adam's true counterpart, Shazam, leaves a gaping hole for storytelling.
But it could have been shown in the sequel, I suppose.
But The Rock had this to say.
100!
True. Original script had both hashtag Black Adam, hashtag Shazam, establishing their origin stories in one film. I fought hard for both characters,
plus the JSA,
to have their own standalone films for the fans to enjoy, and protect Black Adam's ruthless and extremely violent tone as we build out hashtag DCEU. By 2022, Shazam had already been out and been established, and Black Adam and Shazam share the same PG-13 rating. So as far as protecting Black Adam's ruthless and extremely violent tone, I think it could have been done. Seeing the contrast between a morally gray former slave who now seeks power to protect the people of his land, opposed to the chipped nature of a young boy with a pure heart who, coincidentally, has the same power set, is the key attraction of the pair, and now general audiences are none the wiser to it. In Dark Crisis, there's a point where Black Adam is teleported back to Earth after the Justice League is killed. Some of the heroes pick him up and send him to a hospital. Wally West Flash and Green Lantern are there to talk to him after he wakes up. They exchange words with him, and afterwards, Hal is like,
"Why should we listen to this fucking guy? How many times have we fought him?"
This stuck out to me, as generally, most people in the DC universe see him as some villain type, and I mean, come on. He once murdered 2 million innocent people trying to kill one of the horsemen of the apocalypse, but let's sidestep that genocide and take a more focused look on a movie.
Yay, a more easily digestible example. People don't really read comics anymore, yay. I mean, boo, that's bad.
Superman Shazam, The Return of Black Adam. In this short animated feature, we follow young Billy Batson pre-Shazam powers. He's just a good kid with a good heart who is helping out loser nerd Daily Planet reporter Clark Kent. During him helping, Black Adam returns from his banishment, and sensing the mystical energy surrounding Billy, knowing he will inherit the wizard's power one day, he attempts to kill him, just to get more power and exact revenge. He's pretty one note in the film, a villain, which isn't doing the character much justice, instead only having him to develop Billy's character. His use first and foremost and originally is as a villain, but he's grown more than that. Is a character more than what they were originally intended for? Yes, I believe they can be. And I still believe, if written well enough, a film adaptation that is longer than the 25-minute runtime of this short could flesh out his motivations, evening out the audience's understanding of both characters, and hopefully making Black Adam as sympathetic as Shazam. Now, before we move on, I should probably expand on something I said a little earlier. After DC's Infinite Crisis, they did this event that released an issue every week for a year that told one continuous story with different characters. Well, during issue 44, Black Adam and his wife, Adriana Tomaz, or Isis, is killed while battling the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. So in the next issue, Black Adam chases the last horseman, Death, into this fictional DC country, Bialia, where he proceeds to grieve the loss of his loved ones.
His son died too, not Haru.
He starts murdering innocents looking for Death. Eventually all the murders build Death up strong enough to try and face Black Adam, but is then defeated quickly with one hug and a shout of the magic word. Wiki state that the number of dead is 2 million. That is some serious damage. Even though he's still sympathetic, having lost his family, he's still doing evil here, having multiple people stating that he's officially gone insane. He's done some evil. Oh, and this is the issue where the iconic throne sit came from. This is Black Adam. Capable of good and evil, but mostly evil. All in all, I believe that the changes to this character, with the film depiction as this man out of time setup, does a serious disservice to the general writing and perception of him from the books. And if other creative choices were taken, we could have gotten a more compelling narrative with other established heroes, just like other DC films have done, like they did with Suicide Squad, twice. Introduced characters with histories we didn't need to see an origin because they're established and well written, so we can understand their character motivations and why they do what they do. Well, I mean, one of them was well written, but that's just my opinion. What do you think? Leave a comment. I read them. And before we finish this all off, you're probably wondering about where The Rock is now. Well, he's still a walking ad. Terramana Tequila, his own brand, must be bringing in enough money as he takes every chance he gets to advertise it. Other than that though, after Black Adam's failure and not being included in the future of DC Studios, The Rock seems to have returned to his roots and tried to build up his image and gain more money, presumably. He's returned to WWE as an actor, and his time back has been criticized by other performers claiming that he's taking up too much screen time. He's taken on the role as a villain and is now giving fans what they want with his return to the ring. However, not only returning to WWE, but also to the family. The Rock's character of Hobbs is back for Fast and Furious 11. Even after being in this weird public back and forth feud between him and Vin Diesel, after those interactions and shots at each other, Black Adam tanking must have hurt him bad for him to return to the franchise. And on a higher note, I think, he's also teamed up with the Safdie brothers, the two behind the smash hit from 2019, Uncut Gems, starring Adam Sandler. He will star in their upcoming A24 film about MMA fighter Mark Kerr. This might be the best role The Rock has ever taken. The film has the potential to be the movie that makes his career a true classic, like Rocky or Rambo for Stallone, or Predator and the Terminator for Schwarzenegger. This is Dwayne's chance. So, we won't only remember him for The Scorpion King and Jumanji after all. So yeah, we went over how and why The Rock would follow the Black Adam project for so long, how it went, how it was received, and lastly, how it could have been better. It's been a long journey, lads. This is my longest video so far. I wonder if all the time to make it paid off. If you're still here, thanks for listening to my yapping. It wasn't as easy as it seems, and hey, wait a second. There's one thing I forgot to mention. Pretty sure The Rock is like Samoan. Maybe we should get a Middle Eastern or Egyptian actor to play Black Adam. He's missing the accent. And what the fuck was The Rock thinking? Black Adam ain't fucking bald. Hey Dwayne, your passion project has hair, so you need a fucking wig up, man. You signed on to the role when you still had some. Jesus Christ. Get a wig, man. You got paid $22.5 million. Use your own money to method act and get some fucking hair implants, huh? Fuck! What a fraud! And he didn't even have the elf ears!